Hello, everyone. We are elated to have all of you here. This session is organized by Hack the Mountain 2.0. Hack the Mountain is back with a bang, and what would have been better than a series of mini events? Welcome to Hack the Mountain Qubits. This session marks the beginning of a wonderful series of workshops, Qubits, an exciting collection of short events that can drive all the geek minds into the right direction. I can totally assure you that these sessions, which aims at building a community through hackathons, will engage you to your best and help you find suitable insights on the same. To conduct this mind exploring session, we have with us Mr. Aditya Oberai, who would mentor us and give us his insights on why our community needs more hackathons. Aditya Sir is the national winner of Imagine Cup 2021 and is currently impacting student community at a very large scale. Without further ado, I would like to pass the baton to Aditya sir to take over the session and help you all have a mind engaging session. Aditya sir, over to you.
Thank you so much, Surbi. Hey everyone, hope you're all doing well. Thank you so much for joining in. I am really excited to be here with the Hack the Mountains team for this little session on why our communities need more hackathons. And yeah, I think this time would be great if you just bring up my presentation. I think that'd be awesome. And yeah, and as we start, feel free to stay active and introduce yourselves in the chat. That'll be absolutely lovely. Thank you so much. So I believe my presentation is visible now. That'll be great. So yeah, let's begin. So first of all, I am Aditya Oberai. I am the national winner in the education category at Microsoft Imagine Cup this year. I'm currently a hackathon coach at Major League Hacking and a Gold Microsoft Learn Student Ambassador. So those are just a few of my credentials here in the community. But most important of all, I'm just another third year engineering student struggling with DSA and just trying to find my own and figure out my path as well. So glad to be here with all of you. Now, in today's session, we're first going to discuss what a hackathon really is, how hackathons impact communities, and then how you all can get involved in hackathons. Yeah. What is a hackathon? A hackathon is essentially a development marathon that is designed to push people past the limits of their creativity and knowledge to create innovative products and solutions. Now, this might seem like a bit much. What it essentially means is that you're going to have this short period of time where you're just working as creatively and just innovating and trying to push your own limits to develop these really fancy, really cool solutions that end up solving problems real people have. So that is what a hackathon is. And it may or may not have code, it might just be designs, but there is a lot of creativity, there's a lot of innovations. Those are the focus points of any hackathon. So yeah, that's about what hackathons are. Now, there are various impacts that hackathons make on communities, which is why I say that we really need more and more hackathons all around us today. Despite the fact that since the world has gone virtual, the number of hackathons has significantly increased. I feel we still need a lot more. And I do have a few reasons why I would like to share with all of you. Hackathons are inclusive for all. It doesn't matter what your background is, what sort of a walk of life you come from, where you are professionally, be it, you might be someone who's studying computer science or engineering, or you might be someone with having no affiliation with this whole tech world. It doesn't matter. Hackathons are inclusive for all. So wherever you come from, you will always have a place at a hackathon. And that is something that is simply amazing. Hackathons bring the community members closer. Now, even as I talk about in-person hackathons or digital, if we take in-person hackathons literally have hundreds of members come together at one single location to come and work on these really cool projects. So you're physically getting closer. You get more opportunities to interact with each other, learn from each other, share with each other. Even in digital hackathons, you are collecting in one Discord or a Telegram or a Slack, for example, or any other communication platform, and you're still meeting up for calls. You're having sessions like these where you can chat in the Q&A and the chats otherwise with each other, and you're still interacting, right? You're still e-meeting in a way that you wouldn't had you not had this hackathon. So hackathons always bring community members closer. Hackathons focus on educating the community. In every hackathon, education is a very important aspect. Whether you work in your comfort zone with technologies that or you try something you've never ever seen in your life in the past, you're still gonna have to push your own limits. You're still gonna have to try and experiment. I know I work with .NET, I work with C Sharp, and with my hackathons, I know for a fact that in every single case, I've still had to push my own limits to experiment a little bit more, because that is what hackathons need, right? So when you're trying to push your limits, you'll have to learn, and hackathons are what enable that. They enable that sort of an education in the community. So yeah, hackathons focus on educating, and that's definitely a very great aspect of them. Hackathons drive creativity and innovation within the community. This is something that I have been repetitively mentioning, but this is one of the most crucial aspects and the core ideas behind any hackathon, because we're trying to figure out ways to solve problems that we have, in ways, of course, that that haven't been thought of earlier. We're trying to push those limits. We're trying to innovate there, and that is why hackathons are constantly driving creativity and innovation. Because had you not had this hackathon, maybe there might have been 5 ideas, 10 ideas, or even if just one or two that may never have come out, that actually have the possibility of scaling far, far beyond these single events and impacting people today. So hackathons are driving that creativity and innovation within the community. Hackathons encourage a growth mindset. Very important point. It's one thing when you enter a hackathon with a winning mindset, and that is always great. It's always great to come in and plan, that we're going to come in and we're going to try for the number one prize and we're going to win. It's great to come in with that attitude. But we all often end up forgetting, this is me included, that whether you win or you lose, a prize is actually not the best thing you take back from a hackathon. Because irregardless of whether you win a prize, you will have grown. You will have got a little more experience. You will have learned a little more. And the thing is that this learning and experience level will continue piling up and up and up. And it's like a ladder. Every time you come in, you climb a single rung. Even if you climb 10 or you climb one, but you are climbing, right? You're always growing. You're always moving ahead. So if you keep this in mind when you come in hackathon, if you intend to come to grow, a long way to win, that will take you a lot farther than you can actually imagine. Hackathons empower the community to create social impact. This is very true. And I think one of the best examples of this that I have seen is the Imagine Cup. Had the Imagine Cup not happened, I mean, of course, our journey, I mean, if I just talk about my own win, if I talk about my own project, Code Capture, our team, we had thought of this idea. We've been working on it for a while. But because of Imagine Cup, we worked a lot harder. We worked and planned a lot more than we initially had. And our products, the products, even if it's not ours, even if I look at some really amazing products from the last couple of years, like Hollow or Smartarm or Easy Glucose from Imagine Cup, for example, all of these products have been created because of the hackathon. And that is what makes it so amazing. It just starts with having themes around healthcare, for example, or like last year, for example, when the pandemic had started, I was a part of the organizing team of this hackathon called Hackon, and our idea was just to help people figure out remote lifestyle and remote work in the pandemic a lot better. And we're coming up with the second version of this in a while as well. So as organizers, we've been trying to empower all. As hackers, you have the power to impact all around you. And hackathons are enabling us to do that. Hackathons give the members a platform to express. So when we talk about a hackathon, I think the best example of this is the demos that we have in a hackathon. Because the solutions we create in these hackathons express the stories of the problems that we have faced. We aren't just coming in with an empty problem, right? We're not just make empty solutions. Sorry, every single solution that we're trying to bring up is solving someone's problem. So when we bring up these demos, when we share these stories, we are giving the members who are sharing a platform to express. And I know how impactful this can be, because there are a lot of times when we do not have a place where we can express what we want to, the problems that we have, or the problems of those around us. We're not able to express all of the time. And hackathons are enabling the community members and the hackers to do that as well. So yes, hackathons do give the members a platform to express. But the most important point of any hackathon is that hackathons are just a ton of fun. I mean, think about it. 24 hours, 48 hours, 72, or any other amount of time. You're just sitting, you're working on something that you actually want to work rather than something that is being shoved down upon you. You're not being forced to build these projects. You're doing them for yourself at the end of the day. And you're doing it while sitting with 100 or 1,000 or as many people as you can imagine. You're sitting with all of these people who have a similar sort of a mindset. That is something that is truly special and amazing. This is development for its own sake. It is an art. It's not something that's being forced upon you. And that's just freaking amazing. So yeah, hackathons seriously are a ton of fun. It's like a great place to just meet up with your friends and do something that you all want to together. Now, those are some of the ways hackathons impact communities. If you have another point, maybe another way, please make sure to mention it in the Q&A in the chat. And I would love to take those up and maybe add those the next time we meet up. I think that'd be amazing. So keep sharing if you feel there is another impact that hackathons make. Now, for those of you who might be new to the hackathon world, you might be wondering how you can get involved. If you know, I mean, I do have a little roadmap that I'm sharing, but if you're participating for the first time, congrats on taking that first step. Because so the part to get involved in hackathons starts by participating. It is important to gain the hacker experience, to see a hackathon from a participant's side, to understand what it is to build and to share and to compete in a hackathon. Now, I remember that I did not start as a hacker, I started as an organizer, but I know now, a lot later when I started hacking, that had I begun by hacking, it would have helped me organize a lot better. Because the hacker is always the priority of a hackathon. It is never the sponsor or the organizer. It's always the community, the hackers who are involved. So it is great to get involved and start with hackathons as a participant. Once you've got a bit of that experience, it will be good to go ahead and mentor. Help your peers in that hackathon, help your community in the hackathon by sharing your knowledge. Every hackathon needs technical and non-technical mentors, people to help with the pitch, people to help ideate, people to help with technical problems. Someone's going to end up having a JavaScript problem. Someone's not able to deploy on Azure, AWS, or GCP. Someone's having some other trouble. And that is what hackathons are. They're just loads of trouble that we're trying to solve in a very short amount of time. So mentoring is a great way to get involved. And what mentoring does is it will also give you a little perspective of how things are being organized. You will get to see the back end of the hackathon a little more than you would have as a participant. But you definitely understand what sort of problems, how to solve the problems of the participants. Because as a participant, you come up with the problems. The mentor is there to help solve these, right, along with the organizer. So the mentor gives you a little more mentorship. Also gives you a little more perspective of how an organizer is dealing with these things, with all of these problems. And once that is done, once you've got that sort of an impact going around, after that, you can go ahead, you can go organize, manage, and lead a hackathon on your own. So that when you go ahead, when you've got all of this experience, when you know what it's like to hack and to help, then you can lead and you can help your community members by bringing these experiences for them. And the organizing experience is also a very special one, because you are the one responsible for enabling all of these amazing people. You are the one who's trying to take that exposure. There's a lot of hackers that are hacking for their first time as well, and you help define their experience. That is a big responsibility as well, and at the same time it's really an amazing experience. So that is the path to get involved in hackathons that I personally recommend. Of course, if you feel you can jump into another one of the roles quicker, by all means. I started organizing. I remember my first hackathon when I joined my Amity University back in 2018. In 2019, we had our first hackathon. I was involved in managing sponsorship work. So I first worked at the organizing and then moved into participating. And that in itself is a very interesting experience as well. But I mean, if you take my word, I would still recommend participating first. It helps a lot. So yeah, that's the path that I recommend. Now there are some highly active organizations in the hackathon space. So some examples of those are Major League Hacking, Angel Hack, Hacker Earth, Devfolio, DevPost, and Gitcoin. And then apart from that, we've got um, Dare to Compete, we've got TechGig, and all of these, which do feature a huge number of hackathons on their platforms, right? There is always some or the other activity going on there. So you can always look at these platforms, always see what sort of activities are happening, and it's a great way to join a hackathon. Just hop on and just find one, because I guarantee to you, if you visit any of these sites right now, you will end up finding a huge number of hackathons that are just waiting to happen with open registrations. And just go hop in, participate. So yeah, that was about it from my content. I know this went a little quicker than expected. But I think it's great because I would now love to interact with all of you, learn from your problems and see. And for that, I mean, if one of the hosts would come up as well, that would be absolutely lovely. In the meantime, if you would like to connect with me as my presentation is concluded, you can check out my website here. We can always, connect from there. And yeah, just throw over any questions you might have right now. I think that would be absolutely lovely.
Uh, Thank you, sir, for this amazing session. I can see there are a few questions. Okay, so Mr. Arun Kumar wants to ask, can hackathon help students get a job?
All right. So the answer to that is yes. Some companies actually recruit by using hackathons. Prime example, JP Morgan has their Code for Good competition every year. The winners get interviewing and then subsequently intern/full-time opportunities. So there are some hackathons which actually help in hiring opportunities, definitely. At the same time, even if you do not directly get hired from a hackathon, you still need projects on your resume, right, for technical roles. And hackathons are the best places to get started on those, to build projects that have a social or a commercial good. So that's a great place to begin.
Okay, Ashwini Kumar has this question. What skill set is needed when I have to take part in a hackathon like Smart in the Hackathon or Hackathon if I am a first year student?
Okay, so I want to clear one thing here. Skill sets, yes, but it doesn't matter what year you are in. Whether you're in first or you're final, it doesn't matter. What you need is a sort of a creativity. You need to figure out a problem that people have that you want to solve. And on that end, I recommend it's a problem that you yourself may have faced that will help you relate with the problem a lot better. After that, depending on what your problem is and how you want to solve it, then is when you decide the skill set. Now, I know for a fact that when I go ahead with my team, my regular team is Simran, Makij, and Ekant Gupta. They were my Imagine Cup team and really amazing people. Now, when our team goes in, we cover a huge variety of skill sets in the sense Simran is our web developer, Ekant is the ML expert, I do cloud work, Ekant is a Python expert, I do C Sharp and .NET. Um, we both also handle the pitching. Simran and I handle the content creation. So there's a huge versatility in the roles, and you can never have one person covering every single skill set. That is next to impossible. If you have that, hats off to you. You're a god. But chances are that's not gonna happen. So it's always something that you cover in your team, and if you don't know something based on your problem state, just learn. That's the best opportunity to learn. So there is no fixed skill set. But like if you want to talk about maybe some domains that you should cover, okay, so there are 4 domains that I typically recommend covering. These could be between 2 people, 3 people, 4 people, 5, depending on whatever the team size is. There should be one who is a proper developer, someone who knows how to develop. At least one person like that is needed. Because when you're creating a solution, if you're creating a tech solution, There are hackathons which are not fully focused on the tech, but if you're creating a tech solution, you will need a developer. Since you've mentioned SIH, I will recommend that you need at least one. You need someone who can design well. Hackathons are about creating proofs of concepts. No one is expecting a finished solution at the end. Because in a 48-hour duration, you can't give a finished solution. You can't create a solution that is going out into the world the next day. If you do, chances are people will look up whether you've been working at it from before or not. That can create trouble at times. If no, I mean, if that's there, if you've got it done genuinely, that's fantastic, but that's not what's expected. UI, however, will be important because you are trying to make a minimum viable product, which is essentially the bare minimum features with the feedback mechanism. So someone who can design well does help a lot. Third, you will need someone who can work on at least one emerging tech like cloud, blockchain, ML, or something like that. Because what happens is that when you're trying to creatively solve problems, when you're trying to innovate, these emerging tech will come in very handy. You can't always solve problems without knowledge of these in an efficient manner, in a manner that is going to actually help people. So having knowledge of at least one of these helps a lot. I personally do a lot of cloud work. My Imagine Cup product that had a lot of cloud, that had a huge amount of Azure work. So had that not been there, we would have had trouble. So, having that sort of a thing is great. Now, the fourth is not something that a lot of people expect, but it is one that I always recommend, and that is someone who can look at the big picture beyond just the tech. Unlike what a lot of people believe, hackathon product is not just about the tech, it's about the story. It is about the vision. It's about how it can help people. It's about the audience, those products. And this is a person who will understand the market, who will help you explain how this product can impact. And that is going to be very important because that's what takes your product from just a good piece of technology to a social or a commercially viable product. So I mean, those are the four domains I recommend. Yeah.
Okay, Arpita Gupta has the question. I also want to organize a hackathon, but I don't know how to start. What will be the first step?
So Arpita, on that, I think we just covered that in the path as well. But I just want to ask, how much have you participated and how much have you mentored? Because I mean, it's just cool if you can mention that in the comments just after this, and we'll get back to that. But I would first love to know, because if you've not been through hacking or participating, it's not that you, I mean, hacking or mentoring, it's not that you can't organize, but it will create problems for you to understand how hackathon flow works. So I will recommend going about that first. Next, I think we can
Okay.
jump to the next question until Arpita responds here in the chat. How much
So the,
competitive coding is important as a student for a job or before take part in hackathon? For a job, yes. I mean, data structures and algorithms is the important part, not just competitive coding. CP is a step up. That's another whole domain of its own. Data structures and algorithms is what is important. For a hackathon, it is not necessary. I am very happy to tell you because I cannot do CP myself either. I am bad at it. I do not have the best DS algo skills, but in a lot of problems that you will work on, chances are you may not end up needing that. I do not, I mean, to be honest, in my product and my solution, I have used a little bit of stacks, used very little. Lists, yes, I end up needing. That's a data structure that is my lifeline at times. Beyond that, I have never used a tree or a graph. And that's not to say that, sometimes it's just that your product may not need it. Yes, there have been use cases where I've seen that graph is the only way forward. And there are some amazing solutions which need very good, some very good algorithms as well. But not every solution needs that. Sometimes, trying to force a data structure in might create more trouble for you. So having knowledge is all right, it's great, but it is not the only thing you need when you take part in a hackathon. It's not the only thing, to be honest. There's a lot beyond that as well in products. All right, Arpita, it's great if
oh,
you've gone ahead and participated in 4 hackathons. That's fantastic. Um, get a little more mentoring experience, interact with the organizers wherever you mentor, try to understand things from their perspective. And once you mentor a little more, you're gonna start seeing when you conduct these events, what sort of requirements are there, how long back you need to start promoting, how long back you need to start structuring, what content you need, what sort of a platform requirements, what sponsor requirements are needed. So just go, if you've participated in 4, that's good enough. You can start mentoring along with hacking and keep interacting with the organizers to understand how they went about the process. That is going to help you a lot. Otherwise, of course, we can always have a chat later. I mean, I've shared my website link that has my social, so we can always have a chat on this later as well. Because this is a whole separate domain of its own, hackathon organizing. Yeah.
Okay, there's another comment from a question from Avinash Kaushal. I usually face issue in choosing a right team. I always end up choosing persons that seems great before the hackathon, but at the time of hackathon, they disappear like a frog. How to overcome this?
This is great. I love this question. This is such a common problem. Okay, so when I talk about my team, I hack with people who I know won't bail on me, and when we decide, we go and hack. And if one or two of us have some issue, then we just leave the hackathon. So we have that sort of a communication, and I ensure that as much as it's great to find a team in a hackathon, that is something that has worked out for a lot of people, and it's a great thing of its own. But I prefer choosing my team beforehand. So with my team, the sort of communication we have, we can scream at each other during a hackathon and curse at each other, and still we'll be cool about it 5 minutes later. That's the sort of communication we have, and that is the sort of communication you need in your hackathon team. So it's good to have some folks who you've worked with in the past who might be good friends of yours. You can just start hacking with some friends who have a similar sort of a mindset about these things. Otherwise, even if you're trying to find folks in a hackathon, don't find folks, build a sort of a communication um, from a while before the hackathon that will allow you to stay in loop and just keep in touch and understand how they're thinking. So if there is a legitimate problem that's coming up, you will know. And if there isn't, they aren't just acting off. We have some another question, I think, here.
There's, there's another question from Prathima. Is data structures and algorithms useful in all the fields, wherever, whatever the profession we choose?
Um, I assume it should be important to some extent. To be honest, I am a student myself. I haven't gone on for technical internships. I've just worked on my own products, but I am, as I said at the start, I'm another engineering student just trying to find a role in a job and intern. So I may not be the best person to answer how it works in a technical role in the industry, but I do assume that knowledge of these is required when you're building products, right? When you build your own product, you will end up using some of these data structures and algorithms, and each problem needs its own way of solving. And knowledge of data structures and algos will definitely help on that end. So it should help, to be honest. But apart from that, for that specific thing in maybe any particular profession or in the industry, I will recommend finding and speaking with someone in the industry because they have that experience and exposure.
I think
But yeah,
that
some
answers the
fields don't
question.
always need. So like, if you're a UI designer, for example, if you're working just on front end, you may not need as much data structure knowledge as someone who's maybe working with a lot more on the infrastructure end.
Okay. Uh, I think we're done with the questions now. So that was a very insightful session. I would like to thank Aditya on behalf of the entire Hack the Mountain team. I hope the session cleared all your doubts regarding hackathons and why you should be a part of it. As promised, all the participants will be getting a certificate, participation certificate from Hack the Mountains. But before that, you need to fill a feedback form, and only those who fill the form will be getting the certificate. Also, if you like today's session, don't forget to tune in for our next session on 14th March 2021, when we would be back with a bang for another Qubit session, Understanding the Immense World of Microsoft Enterprise XR by Alexander Mears. We all look forward to seeing you
Nice.
there. A big thank you to all of you for being a part of this session.
And yeah, seriously, happy hacking. Enjoy this experience and just enjoy every hackathon you go to. It's really a lot of fun. Don't just go in that If something happens at the hackathon, your world ends. It never does. So just enjoy these experiences.